Coming to you live from the shadow of the big house, it's IT4U. Tips and tricks on ITS tools, products, services, and more with your host, Jean Mackey. Hey, good morning everybody, and welcome to IT4U. I'm your host, Jean Mackey. So these are live webinars that are brought to you by ITS. And if you are having any audio or video problems during the live webinar, tell us in the chat pod. And if it's not on our end, we have a few tips for you. If you're watching the YouTube recorded version of this, look in the description field for a link to a Google Doc that's got all the live links that are here with us. If you do need an accommodation to participate in a live episode, just give us a little bit of a heads up and we'll make that happen. What's coming up? I could not get clear enough description to get this thing registered in my link, but that'll happen later today. Protecting yourself from phishing. How to identify and protect yourself. So that could be some pretty useful information. And today, I put out the call in the Business Objects user forum for a presenter on financial data, and Kim Strickland was kind enough to respond. So here she is. She's a finance manager with Student Life, Budget, and Finance. So let me turn it over to Kim. Okay.
Hello, welcome to my very first webinar. So, hoping all goes well. Today we're going to talk about basics and getting started in using business objects. We're going to go over a couple of different things. The first is I want to show you some information in regards to how how you can understand data in business objects, which I think is the hardest thing for a lot of people to grasp. So I just have a small visual here I want to actually show you real quick, and I don't have it actually. So one thing to think about is each of the universes is its own set of data. And in order to get the different data sets to talk to each other, you actually need to build a bridge, which is a common link or a common item. It could be an account code in the finance. It could be a student ID number in the student universe. And then in the HR center, you could use, again, an employee ID. So it needs to be some common item that links two data sets together. That's, of course, if you were working in more than one universe at a time. So, let's talk business objects. So, what I want to do first is actually show you where the university maintained queries are, and then how to turn that into something you understand, the makeup and things like that. What I'm looking at is this is actually my list of queries that I have in my own folder. So when you open it and you see the My Documents on the left-hand side of your screen and under your favorites, you can create folders just like you do in your email to organize your different queries and things like that. I, of course, have several, and so I have different items depending on what I need them for. To get into the university maintained, you're going to want to go down to the folders at the bottom, and there's a public folders option, and so I'm just going to open things up here, and I want to go to the U of M maintained. Under U of M maintained, we're going to talk financials data set. One, it's the one I'm most familiar with, but it's generally the first one people have to get into, and it's easy to maneuver in. FN01 is your actual finance data set. It's the one that has the revenue and expense information in it. And we're actually going to go, I have picked a query that's easy to use, and I think a lot of people are going to end up using it. So I'm on page 4. To maneuver around on the right-hand side, there's a page turner because there are multiple queries in here. And so I'm actually on page 4. If you're following along here. And I want to go to, I'm going to use this FN01 Rev Expense Statement of Activity by Project Grant. A lot of people that are not necessarily, don't use business objects a lot, when you are going in here, you are looking for Project Grant information and things like that. So I do want to show you how to actually use this. So in here, this is a statement. It's actually going to tell you your activity and things like that. When you come in on the left-hand side, there's a navigation map, and it shows you some information on, it really tells you what's in the tabs. Just like an Excel spreadsheet, there's multiple tabs in the report. And you'll see that there's buttons on the left that'll talk you through some of these items. Some you'll use regularly, some you won't. I need to actually get the prompts. And prompts are, I'm going to provide information to BusinessObjects so that it can give me back the information I actually need. So for this particular one, I'm going to put a project grant number in. And I want this fiscal year. And I'm going to backtrack a little here. I'm just going to get January data. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return, and it's going to run the data. So what it's actually giving me here is it's giving me the revenue and expense data for this particular grant. This grant doesn't actually have a lot of revenue on it. It doesn't actually earn anything. It's a funded grant. But you can see the expenses, and it breaks it down and gives you the journal IDs, the journal dates, and all that information, which is important, especially for any of your professors, or for me in particular, this one is a physician who oversees a grant and needs to know their activity. So in this, what makes this up? How do I know where this information and data is pulling from? So what I want to talk about is, how do I know what's in the design, where this information is pulling from? In the upper corner on your right hand side, you'll see a design function. By clicking on it, it takes me from reading mode to design mode, which means I can actually, now I have different options. I can actually see what makes up this query. And we have a question.
Cheryl says, I ran this report and I did not get any info.
Well, that could be a couple things. One, it could be your access. It also could be, well, if you're using this, are you using the same project grant number that I used, or one of your own?
Kelly says the U in the grant has to be capitalized, so it is case sensitive.
It is case sensitive. Did that help? If it didn't, please comment back and we'll go from there. It worked? Okay, moving on. So what I've done is, we're back in design mode, so I actually want to look at where this information is coming from. So over here, and by clicking on this icon here, it looks like a series of different emblems and on a sheet. It's actually your available objects and what actually makes up this query. And so it actually tells you where the information comes from and how it's pulled into the different reports and things like that. Now, if it's a university maintained query, you will be unable to make any modifications or edits while it's still in the university maintained folder. So you know what, I want to change this. I don't want just January data. I want this query to pull December and January for me. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to save this by going to the magic save button. Everyone's familiar with it. And I'm going to save as, and I'm actually going to move it to my own folder. So it gives me the save as box, and I'm going to go back to my favorites folder, and I actually have made an IT4U folder, and I'm going to save that in there. Now it's not going to let me edit things here. You'll see that some of my icons are blocked out and that kind of stuff. So I'm actually going to get out of this open version and go to the version I just saved. I'm going to reopen it.
Could you do that one more time and show, there's a question about how you got to the public folders.
Sure. So in this, when you open Business Objects, it's going to take you, you're going to start here in this view of My Favorites. Mind you, your folders are going to be different than mine because these are folders I've created. But if you go to the bottom, there's a Folders button, and it'll look like this when you first open it. Open Public Folders, open U of M Maintained,
Right.
and we were in the FN01 universe here. Okay, going back to my documents, and I'm going to go back to my folder where I put this query, and I'm going to open it. Now, I need to go back to design mode because remember, in reading mode, I can't edit anything. All this is, in reading mode, I can run it. It's going to give me new data, things like that. In design mode, I can change it. So I'm going to go to design mode. Then you'll see, now that it's in my own folder, these icons are actually active, and I can actually change things now. This particular one allows me to edit the data. You can get to it, this is a shortcut button, but I also want to show you that you can edit it from this data analysis tab too, which gives you other options. So I'm going to actually edit this because I want to change my accounting period in here. Now when I open this up, oh, and by the way, this is a new little trick we that just came out. The data preview panel is really quite annoying because personally I don't use it. I actually don't know anything it does. You can get rid of it by just clicking on, but unfortunately it's not a permanent. Every time you open this you'll have to get rid of it. But it allows you to create some more room in the panel itself to see what you're doing. Yes, ma'am.
Close this out if you would and show one more time how you got into the query panel.
Okay. Okay, so I'm on my query and you have two options. One, there's a shortcut button, or two, on this data access tab, it actually, the button looks the same. I'm going to go into data providers and I'm going to edit it. Okay. Again, I'm going to get rid of my preview panel because I just find it annoying. And so what I need to do is I actually want to change my accounting period, okay? And you'll see that there are multiple queries that make up this particular query. So what I'm actually going to do is, in order to do a multiple range, I actually am going to do a between. Between allows you to do a beginning period and an ending period. And so I'm also going to change my prompts. So I want it to prompt. And as you can see in all the rest of these queries, I'm going to need to do the exact same thing. Oh, on this one, I'm sorry.
And I just want to point out that if you don't want to change your mind every time, you can put in a constant, so it's always the same value, but the prompts are if you're going to change your mind.
Yes, so if you want to do some, personally for me, I tend to do it so that I don't have to go back in and edit the query all the time. I want the option of being able to run the query and continue to use it from month to month, but if I'm just doing a one-off and just want to do it once, I might make it a constant. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to run this query. The data will do nothing until such time as, I did say I was going to do December, didn't I? The data, it won't go back to the data until you run the query. So you do need to, I'm determined to do March data. You have to rerun the query in order to get information back on it. And so now that I've rerun it and actually giving me a longer period of time, as you can see, I'm now getting stuff from December, February, January, and stuff like that. So I've actually been able to expand the use of this particular query and get a multiple month results on this particular project grant. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, we kind of went through it a little fast. I want to make sure everybody's understanding. We good?
Someone's typing.
Oh.
Let's wait just a second.
Someone's typing in, so we'll wait 1 second.
A couple people are typing.
Oh, seems we have a couple of questions.
Why did you edit accounting period on only one tab?
All right, I'm going to go back in here and I'll show you what we're looking at. So first of all, the carry forward balance, when you're looking at financials, carry forward only hits on period 0. So I actually don't want to change that. You could change the fiscal year to date. It depends on what information you're after, as I'm going through and just showing you how to change and edit things. But you do, if you're trying to get the same information across the board, you do want to change and make sure all of your prompts are the same and things like that.
Dawn wants to know which report are you running, FN01, and then what's the rest of the title?
It's actually, for future reference, it's always the top corner is the title. So it's FN01, Rev Expense Statement of Activity by Project Grant. Now, if I just close this, just like any file, it's not going to save the changes. So sometimes if you just want to take a query that you know and you're used to and you really just want to change it for one time, feel free to make the change, run it for the additional data, and then don't save it. Or, again, with any other file you do, you can do save as, change the name of it, put multiple periods on it, and you now have a different query. So I'm not going to save this. I'm going to go ahead and leave this page. Okay. So if everybody's ready, we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually build our own query. All right.
Oh, cool.
So in order to do that, we actually need to go into Web Intelligence. So in the middle-ish of on the right-hand side, it says Applications, and there should be a drop-down box.
And I always think you'd think that the new button would allow you to do this, but no.
Yes. The new button is not going to help you in this particular incident. You actually need to be in Web Intelligence. Mm-hmm. So get into Web Intelligence mode, and you're going to get this blank page. Now you actually need to start a new page. So we're actually going to go to New, and then we're going to pick a universe. So a universe, again, that's those data tables, and we're going to stick with FN01 for consistency. Again, this is where your Rev Expense information is. And there's that data preview panel that just gets in the way for me. So what we're looking at is the information in regards to, we want to know in your results objects is what information you want out. What goes in your query filters is specifically what you want that information from. So you don't want the entire university's worth of Rev Expense, you want just your departments, you need to tell it that. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to open this particular. So Rev Expense Activity, I tend to go right here. This is your most commonly used objects. So from here, I am going to pull over my account, and I'm going to pull, actually, let's make this easier. I'm going to pull my fiscal year, and all you do is click and drag, and my sum of dollar amounts. And then I'm going to pull, I wanted to ask it for fiscal years. I want to do it for particular funds. I want to do it for a particular department. and I want to do for particular accounting periods. Okay. Now, all I've done is pull the items over, but I actually need to set them up and how I want them to be. So in list, or this options here, I can make it equal to. If I make it equal to, it means it's only going to pull one item for that. Same thing, you're going to get not equal to if you have a whole list of items and you wanted to just opt out of one. Between is, of course, between items. So get used to some of these in here. If you're looking for something in particular, basically it's going to work and define and narrow down your search of information. In list, I tend to use this most of all because I can list as many items as I want and qualify that in my actual answer. So I'm going to go ahead and do a prompt for this. You can make it a consistent, so if you're always pulling just for a particular department or a set of departments, you can set that up so it automatically runs. You can also pick from value and list. If you pick from a value and list, it gives you all of the items. It could give you all the project grants. It could give you all of the funds, all of that kind of stuff. But I want to use this query multiple times, so I'm going to go ahead and build it as a prompt so I can always answer differently. My funds, fund codes, I'm going to do the exact same thing, and same thing with my department. And my accounting period, we're going to try that between again, because I want to pull for a particular period. But with between, I can also make it a constant, and I could do a full fiscal year. So now I have a full fiscal year. So periods 1 through 12. Or if I wanted just a quarter, I could do 1 through 3 or so on and so forth. So why don't we go ahead and we'll leave it as a constant. Let's see what we get. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run the query. I am going to run for 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015. And I'm going to run for fund 50,000. You'll have to excuse me, I work in auxiliaries, so. And then I'm going to do department 600, 620. I'm going to click OK, and it is going to run my data. So, see what I got here is I've got information for fiscal years, but I have a couple of years where I didn't get information. Now that's puzzling. Actually, I know why. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you why. So in particular, we do a year-end journal entry that rolls everything up to a master department. And so I know that that's why I don't have anything in here. So what I'm actually going to do is I know that I have a data gap because of that. So what I can do is I can filter out that particular information. So I'm going to go back to my edit. Remember, you have this edit data provider. Oh, I'm sorry, we have a question.
Mark says, if you build the in list as constants instead of prompts, how do you separate the values? Is it comma separated?
Oh, no. Business Objects actually doesn't like commas. It will actually toss it out or ignore it. It needs to be a semicolon. And when you get into advanced writing and things like that in Business Objects, you'll actually find that it gets very picky on your style of italics and all that kind of stuff. So you'll want to pay attention to that. And it'll tell you because it highlights it and yells at you when you do it wrong. So, so let's go ahead and we're going to go back. So now I know that the reason it's wrong is because a particular account code is wrong. Oh, we have another question.
Michelle wants to know, how would you get the years to be the columns?
Okay, let me finish this and then we'll actually go back and I can show you how to manipulate that, okay? Cool. Let's actually get data first, a full set of data. So what I actually want to do is I'm going to go ahead, and I know that this is an account code that's being the annoyance. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull it over here and make it a result object. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to filter it out. And we're going to do a couple things, but I want to, you could actually put this in as a query filter and filter it out, but I want to show you how to actually filter it from the report. So I'll show you how this runs. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my data access here, and I'm going to go to my data analysis. And we're going to go to filters, and I want to add a filter. So I want to filter on the account code. And just like everything else, I get an extra filter. Oh, and adding and subtracting filters. Just a hint, if you want to add or remove a filter, this removes one, this removes all of them. So if you have a bunch of filters on here, don't remove all of them at once. You'll pay for it. So the account, I want to just remove, and it's 624,600. Okay.
And just to point out the difference between report filters and query filters.
Yes. So a query filter, you're actually going to get, you're filtering out information when you even dip into the data. In the report filter, it actually is bringing that element back, but you're setting it aside or separating it out in the report itself.
And in a report filter, you can show or hide it easily on multiple tabs.
Yeah, you can come back. Say if I wanted to put another tab and I actually want that information in, I can duplicate it and that information is there and available. So as you can see, I now have different data here. Now this department runs only in expenses, so you can see that everything's in the negative. And we have a question.
How do we get back and see that filter you just created?
We can go to filters, and it'll show you what we actually pulled for here. So you can also, for future reference, right click if you're a right clicker, and filter. You can add filters or get in and review it. So looking at the years, we had the question of how to go years across instead. We can do that. I'm actually going to take this off. So all I have is the sum.
How'd you do that?
Sorry. I'm too used to doing. Oh, hey, there's also undo.
Yay.
The undo button is an amazing button, and one of my favorites. You can just undo. So undo and redo just like you do in Excel. So I'm actually going to delete this column. I right click and delete the column. If you have multiple columns or multiple rows, it will actually ask you if you want to delete the column or the row. Then I'm actually going to take my element over here, or my object, our fiscal year, and you can pull and drop it. Oops. Sometimes you can pull and drop. Or you can undo it again.
Yeah, it's picky.
Sorry. Well, even better. Let's do. All right. So this is not exactly what I had set out to show you today. So what I actually did is set up a cross table. So I'm going to show you how I did that again. I'm going to delete the table. So I'm going to, these are report elements. And I'm going to go, there's an option for defining a cross table. And I'm going to drop a cross table in here. It'll give you your years. This is probably just going to be easier. And then I can drop my sum in here and it gives me that cross table. But because I did that, I also eliminated my filters. So I am going to add my filter back. Okay, there we go. That should make it better. Okay, so what I actually want to do is show you how to turn this into a fully functioning report. So what I have now is just information. So I now know what my balances were for the last 5 years. So what does that actually mean? So if I go to report elements, this gives you your options for, you can chart and graph and things like that. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to graph this. So I want to put a column report in here, and it'll add it in. And then what you can do is you can pull the elements or your objects that you want in. So I want the sum of the dollars in here, and I want my fiscal years. And so it will actually graph it for me.
Nice.
So this is pretty simplistic, but and you can actually edit this just like you can in Excel. It's not quite as fancy, but you can move your elements around. You can switch and change where things are. You can actually change what your graph looks like if you want to stack them, pie charts as well. So feel free to play. It's actually the best way to learn business objects is to take the information and data that you know and you're used to and start actually manipulating it so it can actually work for you.
The nice thing about a chart in Business Objects is once you set your formatting, you can refresh it and the data comes in and you save the format, unlike Excel.
Yes, and if there's something you pull or there's information you need on a weekly, a daily, a monthly basis, you can actually set these up once you've built your reports, and you can set it up to automatically run and email directly to you or say to a faculty member that is constantly in need of that information, or there's a report that should go out on a regular basis to a particular staff group. You can set those up as well.
And where would you go to start doing that?
And to start doing that, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to save this particular query. And we're going to call this something so I remember what it is. Okay. And what I want to do is I'm going to actually go back and show you how to do this from here. So I'm in my IT4U. This is the one we just created. I'm actually going to right click and I'm going to schedule this. Now this is going to walk you through the steps. The title of your query, and you can change this. Say you're using the query in one version with certain prompts to go to one group of staff or whatever, you can change the instance names too. Recurrence, how often do I want it to happen? I want it to happen on a weekly basis. I want it to go out on Mondays, and I want it to run early before everyone gets in the office. So I'm going to ask it to run about 6:30. Okay. My prompts, just like if you were opening the query for the first time, you can actually modify this. But this is the information I actually want it to run. So, but you can change any of these. Format. Now, most of the people I'm going to be sending this to don't have business objects. So I'm actually going to send this in Excel. And so it'll come as an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm going to, the rest of these, so you're not going to get into caching, you're not getting into events, you don't need any thing in the scheduling servers. It's pretty much default from there. However, the destinations is what I'm going to change. And what this is this is actually where you're going to put your email information. So I'm going to send this to myself because no one else is going to want this. And this is the weekly report. And good morning. Not that I can type. This is the weekly report about stuff. And this would be the message that every Monday morning they would get. So if I wanted to include my name and information if they don't know who to ask, if you have questions, contact me. And then I'm going to go ahead and schedule it. And it actually is now an incident. It's in my history. So it actually is scheduled. It's a recurring. I'm the one that did it, and it's got the parameters and everything in it. Once it actually runs, it actually will have a history. You can actually go back and look at a query. I'm going to show you one of mine. I have queries that run automatically. Same thing, you can right click and you can look at history, and it'll show you the incidents of when things run. So for me, it's a compliance thing. So I'm always checking my P card holders and their limits and who's using their P cards and things like that. So this particular query runs those groups and sends it to me on a monthly basis on usage and who has. And I have several that run that way, and several that run to different groups of people that don't actually have access. They don't need access because they only need a small fraction of information. So I can run that for them, send that to them, and they have it Monday morning when they need that information so they can do their work. Does anyone have any questions? Is there anything? We've gone over a lot. I just want to make sure that we're filling everyone's needs on this. So what we've done is we've looked at how to get into a pre-canned query. We've looked at how to look at what the elements in that are, how to move that into our own folders, how to change it, then how to start and build our own query in one universe. For more advanced queries and stuff, you can start to use multiple universes, and then how to save it and how to schedule it. And we have a question.
Lee says, can I set the time period to be the most recent one available but not specify the particular month or year?
You can. So if you're going to schedule a query, you can actually, let's go back to, I'm going to modify my query here. So in my elements or my objects, if I want to change this so that when it runs, it's including, say, the current fiscal year, or however, you can change the elements, and actually it's part of the objects. There are report objects where you could put just a current fiscal year, and you can make this an element here, or you can change this as for it not being an option today.
Okay.
So apparently Tuesday at 9:41, it's not an option.
So we got a couple more minutes, got a couple more questions coming in. Nicole says if you select equal to, then it shows up. But anyway, we'll just move on from that right
Yes. So I want to thank you for your time and your patience and your excellent questions. If you have any additional questions, I always open to them. I'm part of the business intelligence and the business objects groups. Throw them out there to the groups. Everyone's usually pretty helpful. And if you're not a member, it's easy to become one. Just get on
I have that link at the end.
Then get on the groups, because I always learn something, even if it's not my question. I learn a lot from other people. And get in and play with your data. That's the best way to learn business objects. So thank you so much for your time today. And well, I guess we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, Kim. Okay, stop sharing. Back to my little PowerPoint. Yeah, so this Google Doc, I'm going to add some of the links that came up today. Business Objects resources and my link I would highly recommend, and what's the paper? And that actually has the link to the whole vendor document that some people were asking about, but I'll send that as a separate link. The Business Objects user forum Kim had mentioned, and that's our third link here. We upload the recordings of these webinars to a YouTube channel, so we have to close caption them first, but that'll come out soon. And that's about it. And thank you. Please stick around in the live session to give us some feedback, but we're going to stop recording now.